Hello, I'm Emma Howard and I'm joined by Dr. Jonty Heaversedge, who's an expert on men's health problems. Hello, Jonty.
Hi, Emma.
A question here. A young man, I think, from the question, my girlfriend and I are sexually active, but we have never had full penetrative sex. He wants to know if it's still possible for her to become pregnant without penetration.
Okay, the answer to that is yes, it is possible. Obviously it's less likely, but it is possible. And this is mainly because there are some sperm present in precum, in the clear fluid that men produce prior to ejaculation, okay, so when they're sexually aroused. And for that reason, if any sperm get into the vagina, then there's the risk of pregnancy. So yes, there's definitely at least a theoretical risk.
And the younger you are, the higher that risk. Absolutely.
And I think also the other thing, I mean, obviously we don't know very much about their relationship, but the other thing to bear in mind is that also in the precum, in this fluid, sexually transmitted infections can be carried as well. And so I think, again, you need to be very aware of that, because actually even HIV could be acquired that way. So I think what I'd suggest is if they're really worried, they ought to be using condoms. And also just because, I guess, if you get carried away in the excitement of the moment, if you've got a condom there, you're far less likely to have unprotected sex. So I think at the very least having condoms handy would be a good idea for this couple.
And do you think that it's a question that's kind of showing up the fact that a lot of young couples think that full penetrative sex is what gives you the STIs and fear of pregnancy, etc., and that if you don't do it, you're safe, and clearly you're not.
And you're not completely safe, and I think, no, you're right, that's an important message to get across. And even in terms of contraception, there are still people who rely on the withdrawal method, so where they'll have penetrative sex, but the man will just pull out before coming. So, you know, and again, we know that there's still a significant risk of pregnancy with that, and definitely a risk of sexually transmitted infections. So yeah, I mean, condoms I think are the way forward until they're in a relationship where they want to make other decisions about contraception.
And we haven't even talked about the frustration of taking yourself to the brink and not quite going there as well.
Absolutely, yeah, no, I think it must be very difficult. And that's why I say actually just be prepared, because you never know when you're just going to get carried away.
Yes, and not always a bad thing if you then have protection.
Yes, exactly.
Jonty, thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
And if you have a similar problem, we hope we might have given you some help. But remember, it's always best to go and see your own doctor for medical advice. We'll be back with more health questions and answers.